WNST, it's House in Baltimore, and ball, even we challenged Orioles fans here, or Nationals haters, or Yankee or Red Sox haters. It's certainly going to be an interesting month here if you do love baseball. The bunting is out, and that means this guy gets extra busy. He can only attend them one at a time. He's been doing it for about a quarter of a century now as the longtime Major League Baseball columnist at USA Today. Always generous with us with his time. He is B. Nightingale out on Twitter, and Bob Nightingale, one of our defending champions back here, and nothing to talk about here, right? Just really, really good matchups all the way along, and I think, Bob, a very open tournament right now, right?
Yeah, I mean, the best two teams going in are certainly the Cleveland Indians and Houston Astros. They're probably going to end up, playing one another. Yeah, it should be fun. I mean, it's a you got the Cubs. Can they repeat? Unlikely. Can the Nationals finally win a postseason series? And then Cleveland hasn't won a World Series since 1948. They may be the sentimental pick this year, just like the Cubs were a year ago.
Well, the Cubs, it's interesting because the Cubs and the Red Sox have always been the underdog, always been the franchise that can't win. They've now both won, and they kind of come into this thing sort of like the snake through the side door, right? I mean, both of them had to sort of scratch and claw a little bit more than these other teams did, especially in the coming weeks when Milwaukee and St. Louis put a little run on, as did the Yankees in the end. They had to have their foots down to get to where they were. I think they have both been a little bit summarily dismissed here as underdogs in this tournament, right?
Yeah, they have. I mean, they had a shaky season, kind of an underachieving season. A year ago, they not only the sentimental pick, but the odds-on favorite to win the World Series, which they did, obviously. This year, they're probably they're the third best team going into the tournament, from the National League side. Just the pitching hasn't been there. Offense has been erratic. So, where last year, no surprise at all, they got the World Series. This year, I think it'd be a big surprise if they did.
Red Sox. I've talked to a lot of people up in Boston, which I do. We play them a lot, Bob, as you know. I don't know that anybody expects a parade in Boston in 4 weeks, right? Like, people are kind of down on the team. The Eckersley thing wasn't a good look for them all the way along with their fan base. They have not been, a particularly impressive group this year. But I think, in a short series here this weekend, given their pitching, given the way their bats can explode, and given the ballpark that they play in, I'm hard-pressed to say I love the Astros this week.
Yeah, the Red Sox just kind of struggled down the stretch there. You got David Price in the bullpen, but not in the rotation. Outside Chris Sale, is there anybody you can trust? So, I agree. I think it would be a huge upset if they beat the Astros.
Well, you say Price to the bullpen. What do you make of that at this point? I mean, so much of the bullpen is about having a rubber band arm and being able to come back the way the Andrew Millers and other guys have. But last year, really for the first time, and I know you wrote at length about this, everyone did, the game changed for October. It really is a completely different thing that these managers are trying to do with innings and innings pitch, with starters, with rest, and with the bullpen than anything that looks like normal Tuesday night July baseball, right?
Yeah, it's he looked like he was going to undergo Tommy John surgery. Now he's, helping out the team out of the bullpen. Could be a nice weapon. Could be a little bit like a Andrew Miller type guy. He was so valuable for the Indians a year ago. But otherwise, they don't have that big guy in the middle of the lineup, to drive in runs. They scrap and claw. I mean, it's still a very good team, but it just, the Astros just are so complete. And having Verlander there now with Dallas Keuchel, I just can't see the Red Sox beating him. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a sweep.
Dodgers, they would have been everybody's pick in August. I don't think we've seen anything quite like what they've done until the Indians came along in September and sort of one-upped them at one point. The Dodgers sliding down the mountain, going out, making the deal to bring in Darvish. What do you expect out of the Dodgers here this week?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be hard-pressed to, hard-pressed to get past the division series, It'll be interesting. I mean, a little bit like the Red Sox. I mean, outside the one guy, outside of Clayton Kershaw, what do you have? I think it's a big mystery. A very good team, a deep team, almost a team kind of reminds you of those Braves teams, built for the regular season and not really the postseason. So I think going in, the Nationals have got to be the favorites. Probably the Dodgers probably the number 2 seed going in, even though they have the best record in baseball.
Interesting in our parts here, Bob, as you know, with the Nationals in disappointment and the Dodgers in disappointment and the Indians, last year in Game 7, there's a lot of want here, right? From a lot of these franchises that have had the Jason Worths and those guys, the Strasburgs, the Zimmermans, who've seen it every year sort of dissipate kind of quickly, and even when it wasn't quickly, really tragically in the end. I mean, the Nationals have had as bad a luck and as tough a beats as any sports franchise in this century, right?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to the year when they, when they shut down Strasburg, lost, heartbreaking, blew the lead in Game 5 of the division series against the St. Louis Cardinals. It really never quite recovered from that. It's almost like the baseball gods, kind of cursing the Nationals, like, hey, you don't shut down your best pitcher, and you're going to pay the price. Who knows? If they not shut down Strasburg, would they have won the World Series? Would everything be different now? We don't know. But it's a very strong team, a deep team now. Now they have a bullpen by getting the 3 pieces at the trade deadline. There's no reason in the world why they shouldn't beat the Cubs handily and get at least to the LCS.
Indians are the flavor of the month for everyone. Bob, some thoughts about Tito and what they went through last year and the injuries they had with the rotation. They really were playing with 2 arms tied behind their back all of the postseason last year, and they damn near won last year. Clearly, this was not a good start for them. It wasn't a good spring for them, but the summer rounded out into form. I don't know that there's anything to shoot holes in them at this point because all of the facts is for them to have a parade later in the month. It's sitting there. Now they actually have to go out there and do it this month because this month's different than last month.
Yeah, he's changed the entire culture there. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame manager, but, he changed the whole image of the organization, made those guys winners, made those guys believe in themselves, and no one's more responsible for that franchise's turnaround than Terry Francona. I don't care if he doesn't manage another game the rest of his life. He's in the Hall of Fame as soon as he appears on that ballot. Just a terrific manager and a terrific person.
Well, and what makes him that guy to you? I mean, the elixir. I mean, we certainly had that with Buck here. A manager can really change a whole lot of things, especially when they're as good as some of these guys are when they go in. And I mean, Dusty's been that guy for the Nationals, right?
Yeah, Dusty's definitely been a guy. I mean, everywhere he goes, they win. He turns around a franchise and they start winning right away. Buck Showalter, great for a culture. He turns around franchises, they start winning when he steps in. So it's a rare thing. Those guys, when the players want to play hard for you and win for you. Certainly Dusty's that guy, and so is Francona. Particularly Francona, he'll play cribbage with the guys, hang around the guys, make them laugh. He's in that clubhouse, a lot more than, say, a Dusty or Buck is. And just people gravitate toward him and want to do their best for him.
He is Bob Nightingale. He is B. Nightingale out on Twitter as well as at USA Today, the longtime MLB columnist there. He'll be running around to baseball games wherever they're playing them here in the next couple of weeks. One place you will not be, Bob, is Camden Yards right now. And we're going into an offseason of discontent. Give me a little recap as you see it, because clearly they thought they were in this thing somehow with a bunch of pitchers with 7 ERAs back in July. They dealt into it. I think Beckham and to some degree Hellickson for 5 seconds sort of brought things together in August to bring them back into the race. They did finish in last place, and I know the Masson television network will call it 5th place, but it's last place, and they earned that. And now going into this offseason, seeing the Yankees, seeing the Red Sox, seeing teams like the Indians and the Astros on the come and other teams as well, even in their own division. There's a lot of work to be done here, man, and I think for anybody that's an Orioles fan or anybody that's an Oriole observer, this is where the boat usually gets stuck on the rocks when everything winds up on Peter Angelos' desk, because Showalter, Duquette, Jones, Britton, Machado, Brock, all up at the end of next year, and no one's really sure who's making the decisions here long term.
Yeah, well, I mean, you still have a little disconnect, between the, Dan Duquette and Buck Showalter. But the big thing is, no matter what, they need some pitching. I mean, they got offense. They got to spend some money and get some pitching. I mean, that's killed this team. Offensively, they've been fine. a little erratic. But pitching's really done them in. So they're not going to go anywhere unless they get some help this offseason.
Well, it's a real indictment on your minor league organization when you're sending pitchers out there for the 25th time this year with an ERA of 6.5 because you literally have nothing else to put at it, right? And you say spending money, well, that's kind of what they did with Jimenez, right? And the old man going back to Aaron Seeley and Xavier Hernandez and getting ripped off, and the deal they've had with the relief pitcher down in Tampa. They've had trouble signing pitchers because they have lowballed pitchers. I mean, even in the Gallardo, they wind up pulling a year off of his deal after his physical. So I don't know that any pitcher of any quality is lining up and saying, I want to be the number 2 for the Orioles next year at Camden Yards.
Yeah, it's a tough place to pitch. You're not going to get guys anyway jumping up and down. So I can't wait to pitch at Camden Yards. I can't wait to get my brains beat in the AL East. So if you're a starting pitcher, you want to pitch in the National League, much easier league to pitch in. So yeah, you got to pay more money to do so. And the Orioles certainly they're not out paying guys for them to come there. So that's what makes it more difficult, where you almost have to start developing your own guys.
Bob, don't make us wait here. Give us a little World Series prediction. You all in on the Indians or all in on the Astros? It sounded like you like those two teams.
Yeah, I'm all in the Indians. I'm going to go the Indians over the Nationals in 7.
Wow, so you're predicting a little World Series baseball. Mr. Angelos is happy about that. You do know he owns a lot of the profits of the Nationals, so anything that happens to the Nationals could certainly help us acquire Manny Machado in the future. Machado's gone, right, Bob? I mean, industry-wide, no one really expects him here in 19, right?
No, I mean, they're not going to give him, $350 million. Only a few teams will. I think he's going to St. Louis Cardinals myself.
Wow.
They got plenty of money. And they really need a third baseman. But yeah, I think he's gone for sure.
Wow, I've never heard him rumored to St. Louis, Bob. You're starting rumors in Baltimore. Good for you.
Yeah, it's a perfect fit. He's got the same agent as Pujols. Pujols loved it there, beloved. I mean, it's the easiest place in the world to play. I mean, it's a mid-sized market, one newspaper, no pressure, devout fans, and they win all the time. So players love playing there. I could see him there in a heartbeat.
Plus, they have great road jerseys and a beer garden beside the stadium, which I appreciate. Bob, always great having you on, man. Safe travels to you the rest of the month. Happy baseballing. And, of course, we'll be following you out at USA Today as well as out on Twitter. Appreciate you, Bob.
Sure. Take care, buddy.
You got it. B. Nightingale, the way to follow him at the USA Today, longtime MLB insider. He will be at games. We will be watching games. I will be wall-to-wall with baseball all weekend long and probably tweeting a lot about it over the weekend. Ravens out in Oakland this weekend, and of course the Terps headed out to the Horseshoe in Columbus. Luke is on the backfields in Owings Mills all week long. Any breaking news will come to you first on the WNST Tech Service. That's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. And Dennis Colossus will be here on Thursday driving you home. We're on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook Live as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. Nasty at WNST.net finds me all the time. And if you miss anything on the radio here, it all lives in the buyatoyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day. You can listen live by downloading the TuneIn radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world. Our morning newspaper delivers digitally to your email inbox free of charge each and every morning at 7 a.m. It's all powered up by Planet Fitness and planetfitness.com. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.